I think losing beats gambling. Only stable BP can save a life. He had Thomas transfuse the dog, but BP kept dropping. Looks like the professor's idea was wrong. Just when they had lost all hope, the blood pressure miraculously started rising. What a sign of life revival. For the first time, Thomas felt the beauty of saving a life, and this success would become the cornerstone of human heart surgery. The professor quickly urged him to check the recording device, but Thomas had no idea what it was, meaning a whole day's research could go to waste. The professor instantly blew his top and unleashed a torrent of curses. Thomas was left feeling like a dog caught in a rainstorm. He thought he had found a mentor. He didn't expect no respect here. He took off his lab coat to leave. The angry professor told him to go. But just then, the desk scribbles drew the professor's attention. Thomas didn't know what a recording device was. He drew the entire surgical process by hand, which was way better than that thing. The professor realized his mistake and hurried out to sincerely apologize to Thomas. He called Thomas his best assistant ever, vowing it wouldn't recur. Moved by the professor's attitude, Thomas was touched. After all, in those days, back then, a white rarely apologized to a black. Thomas took the coat, and they collaborated seamlessly for 12 years. During this time, their research saved thousands of WW2 soldiers, and the professor became a household name, even getting appointed as head of surgery at Johns Hopkins Medical School. Mind you, it's the pinnacle of medicine in every scholar's mind. The professor threw a party that night, and Thomas attended. However, he was there as a server. When announcing his appointment, the professor never mentioned Thomas, despite the joint research. The reason? Simply because he was black. When he got home, his wife felt it was unfair. Their family had sacrificed for his dream for over a decade while barely scraping by, and now finally achieving, and he couldn't even get a name drop. Although Thomas felt unhappy, he understood the perks of working under the professor. However, reality soon taught him a lesson. Upon entering Hopkins, they saw walls lined with medical pioneers' portraits. The ambitious professor said, "One day my portrait will hang here." Little did he know, those words planted a seed in Thomas' heart. As the two were making their way toward the lab, they were suddenly halted by the security guard. Thomas had no choice but to quietly walk away, passing beneath the statue of Christ that symbolized equality. When he appeared in the hospital hallway wearing a lab coat, everyone stared at him as if he were an alien. What a ridiculous sight. The white head honcho treated him like a janitor. He made him fetch coffee. Not all whites were arrogant, like this doctor, Helen Tossig. He's another cardiology legend. That day, they visited the ward, and Thomas saw the kids were blue. Sitting on the bed with legs hugged, Tossig explained this reduces blood flow to legs, easing their breath. Subtitle: These kids had tetralogy of Fallot, an incurable congenital heart defect. Main artery from heart to lungs is congenitally blocked, causing chronic oxygen lack and blue skin. More lung blood could only come via heart surgery, yet medical tech was primitive then. No doctor dared to operate on a human heart, which led to a 100% mortality rate for this disease. Compassionate Tossig invited the professor to tackle this challenge together, and the already ambitious professor jumped at the chance. 3 of them were set to pioneer heart surgery. Since infants' hearts are extremely tender, the professor proposed replicating the disease in dogs first, then devising a solution. But dog hearts are small, with 2 stream vessels. Back then, medical devices fell far short. Their ventures always failed. The professor urged Thomas to improve tools as time passed. Thomas' life grew strained, making him work as a handyman after hours. At dinner, his wife suggested she go out to work. But who would take care of the kids? This is the reality for most people now. Reality and dreams are 2 parallel lines never to meet. Thomas eyed his wife with regret. He wasn't sure how much longer he could stick to this medical path. Fast forward 2 months, and with the experimental dogs almost exhausted, they still hadn't made. Compressing dogs' vessels always kill them, prompting the professor's brilliant idea. Thomas stared intently at the heart model, thinking this method might work. Meanwhile, the professor failed the experiment again due to insufficient precision in medical gadgets. Just when the professor was about to have a meltdown, he spotted Thomas' newly made respirator. But the surprises Thomas brought weren't just that a medical PhD was passing by the lab. He was immediately captivated by the strange tools, but what shocked him even more was that Thomas was performing surgery on the dog with his eye. After thousands of trials, he knew heart and vessel anatomy well. Impressed, the doctor said, "I hope to work with you someday." Thomas smiled, knowing this skill earns respect anywhere, but this rule fails here. A chubby man got mad just 'cause Thomas, a medic, got extra food from the lady. She mocked, wearing a white coat doesn't make you superior. You pay still less. Thomas, usually engrossed in research, had never heard of employee grading. He assumed salaries were similar, so he hurried to HR. He found out he was not just the lowest rank of a third-class handyman, but he worked more than 15 hours every. Her take-home pay was just $68. After expenses, how could she afford a third-class repairman's life? Can't even pay rent. Worse, she's done this job 13 years. Does anyone live just for ideals? Until that day, when a joke from the professor finally made all of Thomas' pent-up frustration. She took off her lab coat and left at once. Though Thomas loved his job, his family's survival mattered more than his dream. The professor knew nothing about the hierarchy. As an elite success, how could he see the low-class plight? Just as the professor frowned, a student inside urged him over. He saw the oximeter and realized Thomas had cured the dog's cyanosis.